what are the big differences between a junior college, community college, and a Division I program?
Well, yeah, community college is kind of a whole different animal. Uh, it's a great stepping stone for kids to go on to the 4-year level, but it's wide open to anybody who comes out. Obviously, it's not a team you have to make usually, so there's a big difference there. It's an opportunity for some kids coming out of high school that may not be able to play Division One. Division One is so competitive, and there's so limited roster spots uh, that it's a good fallback for kids. So of course the difference in competition level is completely different. Yeah.
Now, you talk about that competition level, but a lot of players will go from that level. If you think of where you were, West Valley, or a lot of the California schools, Golden West, Long Beach City, they end up being some pivotal players at the Division I level. How would you describe the competitive nature of JC?
Oh, JCs can be very competitive. I mean, the history of them has always been the same as well. Years ago in the 60s, JCs and community colleges used to beat 4-year schools regularly, and that has shifted, but there are still, community colleges are, whether it's water polo or academically, there's a wide range of players there. There's kids who could hardly play, and there's very high level players. So it has been, all my years at West Valley, one of our main things was transferring kids, and all our international kids transferred. It was a great opportunity for them to get to a U.S. 4-year school, and it gives a lot of U.S. kids chances to develop, mature, and move on to the next level. A lot of kids, they could redshirt, they could gray shirt, do a couple years at JC, and the level that you mentioned some JC teams, the Golden West, Long Beaches, and people like that. Cuesta, I'll throw in there, West Valley. There's some really good coaching, and those guys battle, and and they play a lot of games too. The JCs play, heck, you can play 30 games, and the NC2A limits the number that the NC2A allows you to play, and at the same time, freshmen and sophomores, unless they're starting and playing a lot on varsity, don't get to play that much on the 4 years. So it's a good opportunity to get a lot of quarters in and develop and get bigger and grow. If I didn't go to a JC, I doubt if I would have played 4 year.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was
We're
so
talking
damn I was so damn slow.
We're talking with Bruce Watson, current San Jose State men's head coach. You talked about the idea of players transferring, and so a student athlete wants to go to a JC and they want to be able to move to that next level. How do they balance building their resume to be seen by the higher level program, but also making sure they're still a useful part of the team and not just trying to score all the goals and do all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I think good 4 year coaches can tell, who the gunners are and who could just shoot and who can be a team player and help them. Uh, that stands out. I mean, they get good exposure with JCs. A lot of teams recruit kids out of community college. They always have. I mean, I spent 25, 30 years at West Valley, and we transferred almost all of our kids, and you find some place for them. They may not all make Division One, but there's a lot of teams across the country that could really use some good community college kids. There's a spot for them, absolutely. Yeah.
Last couple of years now at San Jose State, you were there to help relaunch that program after it had been dormant for for decades. What has that process been like to reignite a program that had such a proud history?
Well, I'll tell you, if you were to tell me when I took it over that it was going to be that difficult in the beginning, I would have said, forget it, man. Forget it. It was starting a program that had no equipment, no schedule, no former players since 1980, uh, and then I was limited on being able to recruit because I had to wait for my West Valley season to end. So the first couple of years, it was tough. It was tough. There was one time during a game at USC, I turned to sub some kids, and the only guy I wanted to put in was the assistant coach. So it's it was difficult, but finally you get traction, and kids realize where San Jose State is. It's in Silicon Valley, and all their graduates go to Facebook and Apple and things like that. So we've gotten a lot of interest, and we're just fighting to get better. It's not easy, and our first couple of years we were in the Mountain Pacific, and I had kids on the team that didn't start for me at West Valley. So it's we lost a few.
Sure.
Yeah,
to put it mildly. Yeah.
We lost a lot of games at home, and we lost a lot of games on the road. So it was difficult to find a place to play.
Yeah. But now, brand new facility, right, at home?
We have a new pool. We just finished our first season in it. We're excited about it. New locker rooms and office. We don't have to travel 30 minutes over to another pool off campus, and it just makes life a lot easier. Kids see it, and it's really cool. It's helped recruiting. It's helped coaching. It's helped the guys who live near campus. It's a huge plus now. We're excited.
Talking with Bruce Watson from San Jose State. We've asked every college coach this week, as it pertains to dealing with recruits, what are you looking for in an athlete that you're recruiting? What do you want to see? What's a prototypical player that'll come to San Jose State, if there is one you could kind of describe?
On this level, we're much more concerned. Rather than recruiting at West Valley, you take anybody with a pulse. Now we're kind of academics are important. You have to keep everybody eligible. There's APR with the NC2A. You have to keep your APR up with the team. The team GPA is important. This last fall, our men's water polo had one of the highest men's GPAs, 3.2. So it's kind of cool. So you have to focus on the academics. Of course, you want big players, because everyone's going big and skilled, and as many really skilled and European players. But as a new program, we're not going to get the junior national team kids. We're not going to get from whether it's the U.S. or other junior national teams. And if we do, you need a culture and a program to develop them. So that's coming slowly. So it takes a while, but you look, you take the best skilled player actually, and then part of being a new team is we were limited in how many roster spots we have. So that limits how many kids you could take a look at and gamble on. So that's kind of difficult, but not all big kids are good, and not all guys who are smaller. You don't want to quit on those guys. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Talking with Bruce Watson. If you have questions here about kind of that connection between junior college and Division I or college water polo in general, feel free to drop them down in the comments here, and we'll get to those as we go along. Every coach this week, we've also asked as far as what they receive from people that are interested in the program, whether it's highlights, a full game, a half, a resume. What do you ideally want to see from someone who's interested in your program?
Yeah, and I think probably all the other coaches feel the same. The more video you get, the better. Obviously, you want to see a kid in person, but you can't see everybody, and you can't see all the kids who come from out of country. So some of the best videos you get are ones that are broken up, and they'll show you defensive things. They'll show them on the counterattack, sprinting, and not just scoring goals. Of course, you get video highlights from goalies, and they don't show you the goals that go in, so it's difficult to recruit that way. But kind of a breakdown like that. Some the ideal ones are some highlight videos, and then a couple full quarters or almost a full game, and you could see what they do in between the highlights. That's really good, really good.
Whether it was at West Valley or at San Jose State, for the kids that have succeeded, the ones that have adjusted well to academics and to the water polo part of it, is there a commonality among all of those kids?
Yeah, I think I want to say two things. It's the kids who are able to overcome adversity, uh, especially the younger kids who come through like a community college program. They need to overcome and while they're developing their skill, and then being able to adapt because playing for one coach for a couple of years and then moving on to another coach, you need to adapt and adjust to their systems, that kind of thing. So that's a real big thing. A kid who's intelligent and whether they came from a high school team in California or Texas or a club in Europe, they've obviously played different styles before they came, and then they have to play a different style afterwards. And kids that can adjust and pick up on things is a real plus, on almost any level. I get some transfer kids at San Jose State, and takes a little while to get them acclimated to what you want to do, but you still get some good things out of them, especially their second year. So that a lot of the community college kids that I've had who've moved on were just basically they were winners, but they were survivors too. They were able to get things done on their own. They got through school. Uh, some of them may not have come from good financial situations. So kids that are survivors and will work hard and battle. That's been pretty good that I've seen so far.
Coaching at the levels that you have, and you talked quite a bit about the JC level and the kid that's there for 2 years and gets ready to go to the next level. You must take a certain level of joy in kind of developing players and helping them get better. What's that process been like for you at any stage where you've seen tangible results? Someone has gotten legitimately better from year one to year two.
Yeah, well, the best part of coaching is the rewarding part and seeing kids develop and move on and get better. I mean, it's one of my biggest things that I pointed to from being at West Valley for so long was how many that the normal community college transfers about 15-16% to four-year schools, and that's not everyone goes there to transfer, but that's about the transfer level. And with our team, it was 95%. And I think that's the most rewarding thing is seeing guys who moved on and you watch them mature and get older because guys develop later than women, and you have to handle that, and you have to not you have to figure out which guys need a pat on the back and which need a kick in the ass, but they also need to move on take my assistant coach. Gabor Sarusi is, I call him assistant coach, but he's like a co-head coach with me. He came from Hungary, played for me at West Valley, and transferred to USC and had great careers at both schools and has played after college for NIAC. And uh, I don't like seeing his USC degree up a lot around school, but other than that, I'm very proud of him, and he's just one that comes to mind because he's coaching with me. I have a whole lot of guys who've gone off and got degrees at I think I transferred people to almost every school but Stanford and some of the Ivy Leagues because they don't take transfers. So every other water polo school I may have sent a guy to. So that's the most rewarding. It's pretty exciting to look back and see.
We're talking with Bruce Watson here from San Jose State. As he mentioned, longtime coach at West Valley as well. If you have questions, feel free to add them in the comments. We talk a lot about sport growth and new college programs and teams forming, and it almost feels in a way as if that San Jose State team coming back now, five years ago, was like the tipping point for a lot of growth where you're seeing a lot of college programs kind of pop up around the area. You've been involved in the sport for a long time. I'm sure you've seen the kind of dips and dives of participation. What for you have you seen the last 5 years as far as the expansion of the game?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And I love to see it. And I was hoping that we would kind of light a fire under some schools, and they could see that we did it, and people are able to do it. I think part of it is that, and they see the new programs added. But I think there's another thing. Years ago, water polo is just played in. You go back far enough, water polo is just played in California and a couple high schools on the East Coast, and now it's a pretty good level through Texas and Michigan and Missouri and the East Coast and Washington, Oregon. And I think that's kind of creating a demand. I mean, these kids are coming out of school, and there aren't very many Division I, II, or III schools to transfer to. Uh, and you see schools pop up in Illinois and some other places. So I think it's really good, a little supply and demand finally, and um, it and hopefully we made a little spark out there.
Yeah.
We went through a lot of crap, but to do it, but hopefully it pays off, and it's good for the sport. I love seeing it. The more wide ranging it's played, and uh, the higher level, and the level is really going up across the country. So that's great to see.
You were talking about earlier getting people to come to San Jose State, getting them acclimated in the program, and even in California, it's a water polo hotbed. But even where your program is at, there are teams that have one more that are nearby, right? You have a Stanford, you have a Cal, those sorts of programs. So
Yeah.
even in your area, you have to essentially sometimes, right, convince someone to pick you over someone else. And it's similar for the programs that are growing around the country. They have to convince someone maybe to leave their home state. What's the challenge of trying to get somebody to believe in something that they really haven't tangibly seen yet?
You know, I think part of that is you have to know your clientele. Uh, when I was at West Valley recruiting kids and who wanted to go to a four-year school, I used to tell them, hey, no one asked you where you went to school your first 2 years of college. They only asked where you graduated from. And now at San Jose State, it's a little bit different clientele. I realize that our tuition is less than some kids pay at high-level private schools, and that's okay. They can go to Stanford, they can go to USC. So there has to be a market for the other kids, and whether it's here or Long Beach State or some other schools that aren't super expensive, it's an opportunity for kids who would have never had that opportunity other than going to a JC or paying 60, 80, 90,000 a year for school. So it just opens things up to a wider range of players, which is good for the sport.
Talking with Bruce Watson here, just looking back through some of the comments and questions here. We'll go to one question here. Bradley asked, what was your favorite game of this past season?
Oh, wow. Favorite game. We had a couple games that we were kind of proud of because, when you're building a program, it's not always wins and losses, but we were kind of excited that we went to overtime with Cal. Kirk's a great coach, and it's a great program, an MPS program that's been around a long time. I played him when I was at San Jose State. Those are a couple that we're kind of excited about going overtime with them, and we weren't able to pull out the victory, but it shows that we were playing younger kids, and it was a great opportunity for them. So I think those couple games really stand out from last fall.
Talking with Bruce Watson here from San Jose State, longtime junior college coach, West Valley. We've asked this of all the coaches as well because they're apart from their teams. So no one's on the pool deck. Nobody's getting together for, in the case of men's water polo, an off-season workout or anything. How are you staying connected to your guys, and are there workouts you're sharing with them, things they can do dry land? What's the status of the team right now?
Yeah, I think pretty much what everyone's doing. We're doing the magic Zoom, and our strength and conditioning coach has given them some things to do at home. We've asked them to go out and kind of do some things to keep in shape, and I've told them that, hey, your spring season was canceled because of this, but your ability to train hasn't been canceled. So follow through and do your work, do some work now, and don't waste last minute. One thing I tried to do, I made up a multiple choice water polo test for them that I sent out to try to keep their keep their brain involved with water polo and thinking, and to think about some of the things that we have been asking them to learn and do. So just trying to keep them involved. Every couple of weeks we Zoom with them, and it allows us to, you know, connect with them, try to maintain that team camaraderie that we had before things broke up. You know, there's certain guys that you make fun of and certain guys you give crap to, and you got to continue that. Yeah.
It's important to keep these team rituals going.
Absolutely, absolutely. Keep
Is
in their
this
place.
is this the longest you've been away from water polo in the last however many years?
Yeah, yeah. I even had a back in the '80s. I did commercial real estate for 5 years, but I still officiated that whole time and was involved with the sport. So this is kind of weird. This is retirement on steroids. I'm not really happy about it. So uh, and there aren't waves every day, so it's kind of frustrating.
Yes, I can imagine. It's been compared to an injury for a lot of people where they
Exactly.
they've been forced out and they didn't plan on it, and now they realize how much they miss it. I'm curious, as you've been forced away from it, what do you miss about it the most?
Well, just the feedback with the guys. I mean, hell, you know, I saw some comments before this thing came on about, hey, you're going to interview this old sucker. Uh, but I've been around the sport a long time, and being able to hang out with 18, 19, 20-year-old guys, it keeps you young. I miss that. I miss you know, going back and forth with the guys and being able to coach and spend time with them. Uh, that's probably the biggest thing you miss, and that's what you take out of every season afterwards, regardless of how well the team does, is your relationships with the players and the guys. That's always important. That's what you remember 10 years later. So
And this might be a comment from one of your current players or someone that you coached recently, but asking about athletes developing good habits. I guess maybe even in this time of self quarantine, are there things you're seeing the guys develop that are positives, and then there are things you have to really kind of police them on a bit more intensely because you're not around them as much.
yeah, you know, it's hard to stay on that. Some guys don't have access to pools, and you try to get them to be innovative and do some things to work on their shooting mechanics or their arm or their ball handling, and it's on the land, and some guys can get in the water, about maybe half of them can get in the pool, the other half can't. So it's kind of difficult. I've sent them a couple of videos, one a real old school video that they gave me crap about from too much far ago. But fundamentals are fundamentals, and it's still just trying to keep them in tune with what is solid water polo moving forward. So, you know, there aren't a lot of easy ways to do it long distance.
I thought maybe you sent them the old black and white video. I think it was Bob Horn and a
Yeah.
movie star at UCLA, and they were.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, those are some good drills in there.
The layout still works, even from 1950. So
That's it. That's it. The
that's
ball was different though.
yeah, for sure, for sure. You mentioned the team giving each other, some ribbing and stuff like that. Any good nicknames on this team that you can share that are,
I was just going to say, I don't know how many I could share. Uh, let's see. There's one big guy, one big hairy guy that I call Chewie from the Star Wars.
your Chewbacca, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And oh man, yeah. None of the others are really. They might not want me to say
Sure,
the
that's fair.
others.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of body hair, a lot of folks have commented on your goatee. They're really enjoying it. So
Oh yeah, this is my COVID goatee. It's. I figured, what the hell? No one's going to see me, and I'm starting to look like a biker.
Oh, that's classic. Well, just a couple more here for you. We're talking about Bruce Watson, current San Jose State coach and former West Valley coach. A lot of athletes are, obviously focusing on the non-water polo things because they can't play right now. So it's the dry lands, it's the mental part of the game. I'm curious when it comes to players getting ready as far as a feeling of anxiousness or anxiety. Nobody's been able to train. They're going to come back. Will they be ready? For those folks that are feeling uncertain about being ready for their next game or practice, whenever it may be, what's a general message to them?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I try to get that across to my guys as well. It's this is unprecedented time, and it's kind of strange. And like you say, it's pretty similar to having a major injury and being out for a while, which is super frustrating. Hell, it's even frustrating redshirting and having to watch the sport and not being able to play in games. That's really frustrating. Uh, but I think what I'd like, I would tell almost everybody that it's going to come back. The sport's going to come back sometime, and man, are we going to appreciate it. You're going to love it like nothing before, like you ever did before. And especially if you love the sport and you've been around it a long time, or you played it and you like playing it, once you get back, it's going to be like a whole bunch of Christmas Eves. So it's going to be exciting, and you have to keep your chin up and stay excited about it, because someday it'll come back. We don't know when. Could be this summer, could be, hell, next December, it could be a year from now. We don't know. But at some point in time, we're going to get our sport back, and I think it'll be that much more exciting. We won't take it for granted. People will be really stoked to be able to get back into the sport, I think. So try to keep that in mind.
Appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk through that transition from junior college to D1 and everything else San Jose State related.
You got it. You're welcome. Glad to do it.
All right. Thanks, Bruce. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.